What up? What up? What up? It's the podcast where we think we know what we're talking about, but we really don't know shit. We don't know shit. But later on, we're gonna have a guest who does know shit. Um, I'm not gonna say his name, but you should already know because uh, it was posted on Facebook, and we said it in yesterday's episode. But yeah, so today is part two of the doubleheader. Yesterday we were able to sit down with Rolando Boyce, Rufus from Trapped in the Closet. Also Darnell. He's also Darnell on the Shy. And his father. If you do not watch the Shy, you should watch it. It is a dope show. And Mr. Curtis, we still come for you, Mr. Curtis. We need you, Mr. Curtis. Mr. Curtis is he's gonna be the new mayor of Chicago in the shot in the series. So anyway, watch it. We also were able to sit down with Dee Dee Google Me Wheeler. She's had an illustrious career playing ball. She's played ball here for the LA Sparks, and she also played overseas in places like Turkey, Bulgaria. Yeah, she's an all-around athlete. And lastly, but not least, certainly not least, we got to talk with Josh Anderson, ex-Simeon baller. And yeah, he's really passionate about helping the kids. Um, yeah, so we had a great episode yesterday. And if you missed it, sorry. All right, but let me bring out my dude, my all-star, JB.
What's happening?
What up, Playboy?
You got it. Good to see you, brother. Back to back nights, double duty.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man. But let's just dive right into this, man. So A-Rob is tagged.
A-Rob is tagged, yep.
So now what? What's the next move?
So if you listen to certain experts and insiders, the next move is supposed to be what can you package to get one of those top tier quarterbacks out there? What can you package to grab a Deshaun Watson? What can you package to grab a Russell Wilson without really gutting the team? Well, the 20th pick, of which we briefly spoke with about a month ago, that you and I both felt the Bears shouldn't have made the playoffs. They should have played it for the draft pick if they knew that they were going to try something else. Because the 20th pick is kind of like, it's a first-round pick, but is that really enticing enough to pull one of those top-tier quarterbacks that we're looking for? Then you have to look at what players are you going to send with those picks. And it's not just the 20th pick this year. It's the first-round pick in 22, 23, possibly a couple of seconds. It's going to be a boatload. But is it really worth it? Because now, yes, we get that quarterback. Yes, we have a dominant number one wide receiver in Allen Robinson. But defensively, do we lose an Akeem Hicks? Do we lose a Khalil Mack? Do we lose a Jalen Johnson on a rookie deal? Do we lose a Kyle Fuller just to make the money work? Do we lose a Roquan Smith, one of the elite young linebackers that we have? Like, do for the quarterback that we need and should have drafted anyway 3 years ago, do we necessarily need to gut the team? Because think about it, everything that we have to offer Seattle or the Texans is defensively.
True. And our defense, the Bears' defense, is getting old, man. So I think Ryan Pace needs and wants to win now, while we have this aging defense, right?
Right.
But I mean, if you try to go after one of those big fish, you try to go after a big quarterback, you're gonna have to give up some of that defense.
Right. And I think you have to give up two of the biggest parts. I'm not naive in saying that you can't give up a Khalil Mack. You may have to. You may have to give up a Khalil and a Jalen, a Khalil and a Kyle. Hell, a Roquan and a Kyle. we as Bears fans have to be cognizant of the fact that you're not going to get a top tier quarterback for nothing. So then we look at that second tier. Are we going and getting a Alex Smith? Are we trying to go after a Marcus Mariota? Hell, are we trying to trade for Sam Darnold? On a lower tier, are we trying to get a Ryan Fitzpatrick? None of those quarterbacks, in my estimation, based upon what the Bears have presently constructed, none of those players will ever be what Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson could be for the Bears, but it might be just enough to make Bears fans happy that we made the playoffs again. And to me, that's not good enough.
Yeah, I don't think that's good enough either. But if Russell came over here, do you think that Nagy would ruin his career?
I don't think he would ruin his career, but the whole let Russ cook like little fanfare is going to be pushed to the point where I think David Montgomery would suffer.
Because it would be a pass more.
I can definitely see Russell Wilson throwing the ball 30 to 40, maybe even 45 times a game.
I mean, he wants to air it out. That's part of the reason why he's a little salty in Seattle. He wants to air the ball out.
And Nagy will oblige him on that. He will definitely let him throw the ball that many times. But here we go again. Is that what we really need? Because we all know that ball spins a little differently in November, December, and January in Soldier Field.
Right. Right.
So if you just totally just leave the running game, like, okay, yeah, we look good for the first 8, 9, 10 games possibly, but what happens in them cold months when you need to bear down, when you need to run the ball, when you need to grind out yardage, when you need to run that 4-minute offense to let your defense rest? Because if Russ gets to cooking, that's just as bad as 3 and outs because he's going to march down the field so fast. Defense is going to be right back on anyway. So now we look at it, are we playing bear football with a dominant quarterback where there's balance, where there's, 20 to 25 rushes, 30 to 35 passes? If we're doing that, then I say, yeah, we're in a good spot. But if we just going to air it out 50 times, it doesn't matter who's at quarterback at that point to me.
So let me run this past you. Deshaun Watson. Let's just say the Bears trade away their future, trade away the first round picks, the 20th pick this year, and then their first rounder next year. They trade away, let's just say they trade away Khalil, and they trade away Roquan, a young guy. But now we got Deshaun Watson. What happens from there? I mean, are we good? Are we straight now? We just gave away 2 of our best defensive players, but we got this quarterback that everybody wanted. So
that's a loaded question, and I'll tell you why. Yes, you get the dynamic quarterback of who we know the Bears team is better than the Texans team, and we saw what he did with the Texans. So, yes, we would automatically be put in that hunt. But the Bears brass would have to get really creative on salaries because the salary cap has took a tremendous hit from 198 million down to 180. I think it's 182, almost 185. Now, granted, we'll have the quarterback of the future that we should have had in a regular draft anyway. We shouldn't even be talking about this. But because you get a Deshaun Watson, hopefully you get some top-tier free agents that want to come and play here. Maybe you get a Kenny Galladay from Detroit that wants to come and play in Chicago. I know I'm kind of dreaming here, but maybe a Shaq Barrett wants to come here and say, let me take Khalil's place and show you what I can do here, and we have enough money to pay him. So a top-tier guy like a Deshaun Watson will definitely recruit for us. It's just we'll be pretty stuck in that 3rd and 4th round pick area for the next couple of years, and we really got to hit. We really got to look for gems. And don't forget, we still got to bolster that offensive line.
Right. I was just about to say it. I'm glad you mentioned that. Are we putting the cart before the horse? when we talk about this quarterback first, but we're not even addressing the offensive line because really it doesn't matter who you put back there if the offensive line isn't fixed, right? If the offensive line is not blocking, Jesus could be back there and he will get sacked.
Man, tell me about it. So statistically, the Bears' offensive line is better than the Texans. So technically, Deshaun Watson coming here, it would be an upgrade statistically based upon pressures, how many times they were hit. A lot of people may or may not know this, but Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky were sacked exactly the same number of times, which was 18. Whereas Deshaun, I believe, was 40-something. So he is coming to a slightly better. The difference in being ranked 23rd and we're ranked 17th, so to speak. So you are coming to a little bit better game, better line play. Now, here we go again. If Nagy's play calling doesn't cater to getting that ball out a little quicker, like you stated, you have those 5 and 7 step drops. You don't have good blocking play or good run scheme, so they're not biting on the play action. Like you said, it don't matter if Jesus is back there. We're going to have problems. Deshaun will be able to extend plays a little bit better than a Mitch, definitely better than a Foles. I feel confident that him and Allen Robinson could definitely have some of that DeAndre Hopkins magic that he had. And then don't forget, we have a young speedster in Darnell Mooney.
Yeah.
Can help stretch the field. Now, one of the things that, when you have a subpar or mediocre line, tight end play comes really, really big. Do we have that tight end? Because now, yes, Jimmy Graham on paper still can get the job done, and he did lead the team in touchdowns with tight ends.
On paper,
but is Jimmy Graham stretching the field like a Travis Kelce or a George Kittle or even a Gronk at this point?
Right. That's Gronk. Yeah.
And then is Cole Kmet going to take that step? We've seen the Cole Kmet story before with our tight ends. We've seen them plenty of times. We've seen that next big guy that we haven't technically given him the opportunity to showcase what he's done because of our poor quarterback play.
Right. So, man, if I just would hate to give up our future for, even though Deshaun is phenomenal.
I see we have the chime-ins. I'm sorry to cut you off. I want to address these real quick because I see 2 comments that are really, really key right now. Mr. Curtis Clay says, defensive players can be replaced easier than a game-breaking quarterback. Absolutely.
Man, that is true.
That's the gospel right
there. That is
Absolutely.
So true.
Because once you get one of those, we see one in Green Bay twice a year, every year for the last 16 years. We've seen them. So when you have that game-breaking quarterback, it does allow you to do more things.
Right.
Absolutely. And then I see something else that former special guest D-Son has said. 2 things, actually. One, you got to play Cole Kmet. You got to see what you got with that young boy.
Yeah, you got to.
He does us no good sitting on the sideline, all because the offensive coordinator or the head coach doesn't have plays to really get the tight end involved other than chips and tight end screens. That's not enough for what we need him to do. We brought him up here to catch the ball, stretch the field, let the man catch the ball and stretch the field. So he's absolutely right as far as that's concerned. Thank you for that. Something else he said that I like, he said that Deshaun does hold the ball a lot, though, and he has a lot of joystick action. I think that's part of the mystique and the magic of a Deshaun Watson, being able to extend plays with his legs, allowing our receivers, of which people say, well, Bears receivers don't get any separation. Well, if we got a quarterback that's in the backfield scrambling enough to allow our receivers to get open a little more, that does change the dynamic as far as being able to stretch the field in certain senses. It's hard to ask for a defense to cover 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds. That's almost impossible at any level. So Deshaun does open up some kind of quirks that could go in the Bears' benefit. I mean, we've seen Patrick Mahomes do it all his career. Run around, catch somebody on the screen, catch somebody on a deep fade because he, extended some plays. it's definitely a benefit in having a quarterback that can not only just run and scramble, but can actually make the throw.
Right.
I believe that there is some type of controversy about whether we go after a 32-year-old Russell Wilson or a 24-year-old Deshaun Watson. Similar styles of quarterbacks, I would say they both are. Both have very, very strong arms, both very accurate, both very accurate deep with the deep throws. They definitely can buy time. And I think either one would be pivotal. Me personally, I just would, if you gave me the choice as the general manager, I would go harder for Deshaun and offer more for Deshaun than I would for Russ.
So I said this earlier. I said, the Bears getting either one of those quarterbacks is like a pipe dream. We ain't getting either one of them. So everybody stop getting your hopes up. We ain't getting them black boys. We ain't getting them black men quarterbacks. So stop it. Just stop it. I would be okay. I know this might not be popular, but I would be okay with a little more than serviceable Mitch and a fixed up line. You have to address that line. That has to be like, I think that should be the first thing you do.
So
I'll be okay to sign Mitch back.
With that 20th pick, that's what you're going. You're going O-line first?
I'm going O-line. I got to address the line. Because like we said, it don't matter who you got back there. If your line can't block, they going to take sacks and they going to get hit. So, I mean, you got to adjust that line. Just go ahead and sign Mitch back. You know, at least Mitch, if he had a better line, he can extend plays. He throws well off that back foot, even though I cringe when I see that sometimes, but you know, I'll deal with that. I'll roll the dice with that.
So let me ask you this, and I want to pose this to our fans as well out there. Who says Mitch wants to come back here? We've kind of treated Mitch like that stepchild.
He is that stepchild.
You know, he's kind of like, yeah, I guess you can play. You know, who's to say he wants to come back to all that controversy? We assume
money talks.
Money talks, but that's to be honest with you, that's putting a Band-Aid over a bullet wound right now. Because first of all, Mitch is going to command somewhere between 15, 16, possibly $17 million. That's just what the market dictates for him to get as a middle tier quarterback, right? So let's say we give Mitch 17, 18. He does come back, right? You still have the exact same problem because now the head coach doesn't really want him, but it's like, well, we got to have somebody. You already got Nick Foles just tapping on the back of his shoulder like, hey, dude, don't mess up. Because if you mess up, you already know. Right? So it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. We're definitely going to get caught up in that if we sign Mitch again. I'd be trying to ship Nick Foles for a bag of used footballs right now if I could. I need him gone.
You wouldn't even get that. You wouldn't even get that. Nick Foles is trash, man.
I might have to. And we say that about a Super Bowl winning quarterback, a Super Bowl MVP winning quarterback, and that's shameful. You know, he got hot. He had his Trent Dilfer moment. That's it.
Right.
That's
in
it.
Philly. And then
there's no way that if the Bears go, and let's say we get the line, whatever. If the Bears go into the 2021 season with Nick Foles as their starting quarterback, hitch the wagon up to Hallis Hall and fire everybody.
All of them gotta go. Everybody gotta go.
Little handicap vans, put Virginia on the side. All of them. Had Phillips.
Get them out of here. Out of here.
All of them.
But you a quarterback too, JB. Why don't you put your bid in?
I'd rather not. I'm a
Oh,
little
man.
old to recover from getting them type of hits.
Yeah, they do hit hard. They hit real hard. So yeah, right now Nick Foles is the only quarterback on the Bears roster because Mitch is a free agent. So
Free agent. I haven't seen enough of Tyler Bray to say if he can even play in the flag league. Like, to be honest with you, that was another one of those. Let me blindly just throw the dart and whatever hits, that's what I'm going to take. And I will say this: if you do trade and you luck up to get a Deshaun, let's speak hypothetically, or Deshaun or Russell rather. I do have more faith in Pace drafting defensively in the later rounds. He seems to be pretty solid defensive drafts in the later round. Line play, if you don't have one of those top guys coming out, we already know Penei Sewell is going to be going. The top rated left tackle, offensive tackle rather. You already know it's a Virginia Tech. I can't think of his name. He's like the second best. 9 times out of 10, both of them will be gone. You better call Kyle Long. Apologize to Kyle Long. He wants to come out of retirement. Make sure he's healthy and say, "Can you play left tackle for us?"
he ain't coming to the Bears.
Hey, sometimes you got to do odd things to get things done, because otherwise you're going to be stuck with Bobby Massey, Speed Bobby.
They cut him. He gone.
Oh, he's gone. Okay, so
yeah. Thank God.
Now we have another void. We have another void.
Yeah, we do. I don't know who I'm sure we can find somebody to fill it. Kyle Long is not. I don't think he's coming back to the Bears. Quite honestly, I mean that dude. He don't even like Matt Nagy. He don't even like that dude. He don't like his offense. He doesn't like anything about it. So I don't see him coming back. But yeah,
we don't like Mitch, and we talking about asking him to come back. So hey, anything's possible at this point. Nothing's off the table at this point, because the alternative, I don't care about 8-8 and saying we backed into the playoffs. Like, fuck that playoff spot. What did it get us? It got us nothing. It got our heads busted is what it got. And then it got us a 20th pick, when possibly we could have been as high as 11 if we had just went ahead and said, you know what, I don't care about winning these last couple games. And I'm not saying that we should have tanked, but come on, did anybody, and take your Bears hat off, put it to the side. Did anybody think that 8-8 Bears this year was going to win anything? Because I'm challenging anybody to say, yes, I feel they had a chance. Because if you did, you're as delusional as the brass. They did not have a snowball's chance in hell to do that. And Ray Charles, God rest his soul, is dead and blind, and he could see that. So we messing up.
who's the tackle from Northwestern? He's yes.
I forgot about him. Yes, the tackle from Northwestern. He's a beast. He actually is.
He's real decent. Real decent.
Will he drop to 20 though?
No, probably not.
And if we do take a flyer on trading on one of these quarterbacks, he's definitely not going to be there in the third round for us. He's definitely not.
No, man, those unsexy possessions are actually in demand. When you have the sexy quarterback, you need the unsexy line. So yeah, those are in demand, man.
Tyree Holland says that's a top 10 draft pick. So absolutely, Tyree. He gonna be gone.
Yeah.
So here we go again. That's another pipe dream. So if you're the Bears now, we see how these scenarios are played out. Nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's for true. But right now, there's a lot of players that might be on that thin rope to be let go because of how we call them cap casualties. Maybe there's a lineman that we can find that is an upgrade that might be about to be cut. I thought somebody had said one of the linemen from the Pittsburgh Steelers was on the bubble.
I heard that too.
Yeah. So maybe that's somebody that we look at. Just look at teams, look at some of these teams' practice squads, look at their number twos. Are their number twos somebody with a higher grade than what our number ones are? Because at this point, you can't get worse than what we have already. We have nothing at right tackle, and we have speed bump Charlie at the left tackle.
Shout out Dr. Phil and Shane. That speed bump Charlie, that is
Speed
fucking
bump Charlie.
hilarious, man. I'm going to say that forever. That's funny. But
So
yeah,
we need to look into that. Now, when you get on TV, and that's why I said I prefer, and thank you again to our audience for checking in. I appreciate it. We got a lot of knowledgeable fans out here that's got proper minds. I'm not saying good football minds, just proper logical thinking minds. And it makes me furious that the people in charge of our favorite teams are just making these dumbass picks, man. Like these decisions are let's be honest. The minute Ryan Pace came on TV and said Mitch Trubisky has rated the best quarterback out of that last draft. If I'm in charge, I would have been like, stop the presses. Uppity bitch say what?
right. Get out of here, dude.
You know what? I'm sorry, we're going to pause the draft because this motherfucker crazy. He got to go.
Pretty much, man.
There's no way, and I know it's some people on there that say, well, you didn't know Deshaun was going to be that, or you didn't know Mahomes was going to be that. If you watched college football, records aside, you saw Deshaun go up against Alabama twice and single-handedly almost beat them the first time and came back and won the second time. If you watch college football, you saw Patrick Mahomes down there at Texas Tech airing that ball out in a pro-style offense. So what? They wasn't winning. He was slinging that ball around the yard. That means he can throw the ball. We look at Mitch and we like, do we really watch North Carolina football? Okay, I'm going to check him out. And it's like he got a decent arm. He's a guy with a little speed. But what
he didn't even play the whole season.
But what did he do? Like what?
Nothing.
You know,
nothing.
You look at the combine. Hell, everybody looked good in a pair of shorts and a Speedo. Like shit. What are we talking about here? And then I got to look at the Bears scouting department, right? And say, if your scouting department came back to Pace and you said, don't do this, or you said, do this, either way you're in trouble because you should have stopped him from saying, hey, it's only two guys you pick. That's it. That's it. Now, there'll be somebody that'll come and try to fix Mitch probably. I'm not saying he's going to be out the league. It's a lot of, he might end up in Denver because they got a quarterback carousel. He could end up, I personally think he could fit Kyle Shanahan's offense real well out there with Jimmy G because they're similar. They're very similar in their style. And that team went to the Super Bowl a couple of years back. So I can see Mitch getting a job. But why put that scrutiny back on him to come back to Chicago under contract? He's not going to take a one-year deal. He's going to want some stability. We're talking 3, 4, possibly even 5. Why take that? Why take that on and just say, well, Bears fans, I'm sorry. We tried. And keep in mind, you just franchised Allen Robinson. The only way you get a chance to really keep Allen Robinson for next year is if you bring in a good quarterback.
That's exactly what I think. If we don't get a good quarterback, A-Rob is gone. He gone. Let's bring in J.I. I'm sure he has something to say about all this.
What up, what up?
What up, J.I.? Join in this conversation, man. We just talking about these Bears.
Hold on, brother. Let me see. Let me get. What's up, brother?
How you doing?
Hey, I'm good, man.
What's going on, man?
Let me tell you, I actually do.
I'm sure. I'm
Monday.
Here for a second. I got to deal with this connection issue.
Monday morning quarterbacking, Sunday morning quarterbacking. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. It's to me, it's like You know, full disclosure.
Please be transparent. Give it to
I
me
don't
real.
I don't have a whole lot of vices. I'm not a drinker or a smoker or anything like that. But in a life long ago, I was a little bit of a gambler, pretty into dice shooting. Considered myself a pretty good dice shooter.
Hold on. Casino or cardboard?
More cardboard and like neighborhood, but I'm okay with casino too. But you got to give true odds.
That's right.
And that makes it a little tougher to beat the house. But somebody catching the dice late, that's what we're doing here with this whole, man, we should have known Mitch Trubisky. Nobody watched Texas Tech football. If I asked anybody right now, minus Google, who the Texas Tech quarterback is, they wouldn't know. Who's Texas Tech's next opponent? They wouldn't know. Most people wouldn't even know what conference Texas Tech is in. So the fact that
now are we talking about the average person or
no.
actual football fans like us?
See, here's what happens. If there's a hierarchy, if football fans, us, are a little higher than the average fan, what would the paid NFL experts be? Because when we give them the air quotes, that's kind of like saying that you say you're expert, but it's not an exact science. Here's what happens. In real time, Mitch Trubisky led a 2017 draft class that lacked elite talent. Now, so if you tell me in 2017 going into the draft that there's no elite talent, and I think that Patrick Mahomes came out of that draft class, so they didn't consider him elite. Deshaun Watson, off back-to-back national championship game appearances, one beating a favorite Alabama, they still didn't consider him for whatever reason elite. That's in real time. You know, I'm not a financial analyst. I mess around and win the lottery tomorrow. I'm going to get a financial analyst. I'm going to get somebody to help me manage my money. Mm-hmm. And then when he tells me what to do with it, I'm going to defer to his expertise. So the same way I would want the casual fan to defer to my expertise, I'm going to defer to the expertise of the so-called experts. If I pay somebody big money to be an expert, I'm going to defer to their expertise. So if I pay somebody to say, hey, man, this is the guy, I know it doesn't look like it, but you know, give me a trust fall back, I got you. Cool. That's what they did with Mitch Trubisky. I loved it because I think it was the Bears betting. They weren't really betting on a hard 8. They weren't betting. They had a very manageable bet coming out.
You saying it was safe? They hedged their own bet safely.
Wait a minute. They had just given Mike Glennon. If I'm correct, they had just given Mike Glennon big money.
They did.
And then they said, you know what? You know what we're going to do? We're going to, you know what? We're going to double down. Even though we gave him big money. Mike Glennon in the interview said that he felt that was a slap in the face.
So let me ask
you. A slap in the face. Here it is. Sharing all options for the NFL draft in 2017. Now, they had a couple of different rankings. Mitchell Trubisky was number 1 and number 2 in damn near all of the rankings. Now, let me tell you who else was there. Brad Kaya from Miami. Mm-hmm. Nathan Peterman. Mm-hmm. Davis Webb. Deshaun Kaiser. Out of all of the quarterbacks drafted in 2017, only two have experienced any noteworthy success, and only 2 have experienced more success than Mitch Trubisky. I'm saying that, and I'm not a Mitch Trubisky fan, but I'm even less of a fan for second guessing. And I'm saying, like, hey man, I think I know more than the average fan. But I would think that these experts, what's the guy's name? Todd McShay, Mel Kiper.
Curtis Clay just said, do we like Mel Kiper? So
do you all like Mel Kiper? Big Kurt, I'm not a big fan of him, but you know, I know he's been wrong. But since 2009,
okay, there's
not one quarterback that's been drafted that's still with the team that drafted him. So this is a very inexact science. So, but I get it. because our point of view is laser focused on the Bears. So it's kind of like, sometimes we're our own biggest critics because we care the most about our team. So we hold them, and sometimes that's a little bit unfair because we can be a little heavy-handed, and that's all I'm saying. Like, I don't think that it was an unwise decision. I think they tried to make a safe bet. They just crapped out.
But at this point in time, you don't have many opportunities to crap out. You don't have as much money as you used to keep making these bogus bets. So let me backtrack and let me hit a couple of points that you made that I want to, and I have to play devil's advocate, so excuse me if it seems like I'm pandering.
No problem.
2017, there was a crop of quarterbacks that you named that recognizably, probably DeShone Kizer is the only one that anybody remembers, only because he went to Notre Dame, right?
Exactly.
None of us were probably looking at DeShone Kizer like, man, we need DeShone Kizer, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to go ahead and go straight to those top three. I have a problem with how some of the scouting systems, some of Todd McShay and Draft Inc. and all them, I have a problem with how they do us. And let me explain. I'm that kid that's on Saturday mornings bored as hell, and I'm watching ABC Texas Tech versus Baylor. And I'm watching it for two reasons. One, I ain't got nothing else to do. Two, I remember watching baseball and remember watching Patrick Mahomes' dad as a pitcher. So I'm like, oh, man, let me see what his kid is about. I remember years prior playing NCAA on Sega Genesis where Cliff Kingsbury was the quarterback and was throwing for 5,000 yards back then. Mm-hmm. So I consider myself to be a little bit more, not necessarily an expert, but I'm a little bit more knowledgeable of when it comes to certain scenarios with this or that. Now, let me pad back. If you feel that Tua Tagovailoa won the national championship, that skyrocketed him to the top of draft boards, right? Mm-hmm. You feel that Trevor Lawrence won a national championship, skyrocketed him to the top of draft boards. But Deshaun Watson wins a national championship after being back-to-back, almost winning two, beating the juggernaut that is Alabama, just like Trevor Lawrence did, and he can't skyrocket to the top. I watched Justin Fields just a couple months ago go head-to-head against Trevor Lawrence and won convincingly, blew him out. But you know what they say in the draft board? Oh, Justin Fields had a bad game against Northwestern. Justin Fields had a bad game against Indiana. Drops his stock. But, I remember Trevor Lawrence at the beginning of the year, last year and this year, had bad games against Virginia Tech. Had bad games against Vanderbilt. Who has a bad game against Vanderbilt, man? Come on. But did they say his stock dropped? No. They stock keeps rising. So I take that back to the 2017. Mitch Trubisky, who looks great on a highlight film against Illinois. So we'll say adequate competition. But you got a guy literally throwing the ball 80 yards in the air on a strike, throwing for 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, rushing for another 4, only 14 interceptions. But that guy we have questions about? A guy that just almost beat Alabama twice for a national championship? That guy we have questions about?
You know what?
You see what I'm saying?
You know what? I definitely understand that.
Let's keep it real. Now, I just watched a guy in Mac Jones beat Ohio State, and now he's skyrocketing up the draft boards. Like, make it make sense, man. So for those experts to say that was not a strong draft class because 2 of the 3 guys in that draft class were top-tier black quarterbacks,
wait a minute,
that's bullshit.
Hold on. All of the white guys that were drafted fizzled out. So it wasn't a strong draft class. There's no question about it.
And I'm not denying that. That's why I said let's put those other 5 away and go to the main 3.
So when you say, let's check this out. Let's check this out. Because here's the thing. This is what I love about the interweb. It doesn't go anyplace. The 10 quarterbacks, the top 10 quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And this isn't everybody's. This isn't, I'm just giving one. And if the thing about it, so when people the revisionist history, all you got to do is click on the internet. We have a pretty good, everybody got a smartphone. It's no excuse for not being smart.
True.
Here, Brady Gustafson. He's number 10 in top 10 from Montana. Never heard of him. As much as we now listen, had this guy blown up and just did all type of crazy astronomical numbers, they'd have been like, of course we've been watching Montana. Nobody's watching Montana. And in hindsight, nobody in real time, nobody's watching him. In hindsight, because he didn't blow up, nobody knew anything about him.
Okay, you're talking about the Carson Wentz effect. That's the Carson Wentz effect.
Hold on. Exactly. And that's exactly what he said, because he was dubbed the next Carson Wentz. CJ Beathard, number 9. CJ Beathard. And coming in at number 8, Patrick Mahomes. It says he's a project. Footwork needs to be broken down and rebuilt from scratch. But he's a gamer and strong threat on the run too. Frankly, it's a little surprising that Mahomes came out early. It's difficult to see him being taken 1 or day 2 in the draft. But some team might love the upside. The ceiling is incredible. So they hedged their bets. They kind of said, hey, if he goes day 3 or 4, that's what I said. But somebody else might take him. So they're saying a whole lot of nothing right there. They don't really want to. Yep, they don't want to commit. They did like Davis Webb a little bit. They said, he's a third day guy, but he has a chance to move up to a second if he kills in the spring. It depends on who's surrounding him. He's okay. Now, here's another. Gerard Evans. Yeah. Gerard Evans. You know what? Kind of compared him to Dak Prescott. He's not going to fit every offense, but he runs the West Coast style. Gerard Evans. Let me say his name 3 or 4 times, because we might not ever hear it again. All right. Brad Kaya, Miami.
Of which we saw many a Saturday. He was because Miami, and we like that nostalgia. Hey, he's a 3-star quarterback. He's the real deal. Hey, he was quickly proclaimed to be a first-round pick, and he was. All right. Let me see. Nathan Peterman. We all heard of him. Yeah.
Nathan Peterman. He doesn't have the best arm in the world. He rolled out on a lot of bad bootlegs, and he doesn't have an ideal frame. He's a top sleeper, a day 2 steal. This is the number 4 quarterback on the top 10, and they figuring he's going to go day 2. Everybody else is probably lower than that. So now here comes big number 3, Deshaun Watson. They said, what more could you want from this guy? Maybe a little consistency and accuracy. Decision making for one. You know what? Now I'm on board with you on that, John. Now we've seen this guy slay dragons. So how can we kind of question that or taint that? Black guys are not really good at decision making. They're not good thinkers. They didn't say it, but they didn't have to say it, because that's what they alluded to.
It's implied.
Yes, there's no question about that. But he is number 3. They said it's a weak draft. He's still number 3, and they said I got him at number 3. I saw too many unnecessary mistakes. And he doesn't really project like number 2. They really like number 2. They were sold on him. He came from a program. Deshaun Kaiser is going to light it up. Deshaun Kaiser was drafted, I think, number 5 overall by Cleveland. Cleveland had Mitchell Trubisky as their number 1 pick.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears robbed him of that glory.
Or in this sense, saved them.
Yeah. Oh, man. Another year in college, it's hard to see he wouldn't be considered the number 1 overall pick. But in the class that's frankly not all that strong, he's still in contention to be the number 1 quarterback selected. Teams are going to fall in love with all that talent. Hopefully they're patient too. They weren't patient. They hopped right off the Deshaun Kaiser, the Browns.
Shipped him to Green Bay.
Yep. He's still in the league. He's somewhere.
They shipped him over there to die. I think he's where is he?
He didn't go to Green Bay to play. He went to Green Bay to be on the team.
To hold the clipboard.
Now,
check the water temperature.
if he's number 2, and we've said all these names, we didn't even mention number 1 on this draft board, Mitch Trubisky. He made the most of his 1 year as a starter in Chapel Hill. Man, did he make the most of it. But he also has a cannon, really great arm, and he's accurate too. Where did that go?
So
that's why I said those assessments are geared to project who they want to promote.
Right. Yeah, he's not accurate at all.
I have to pose this to you. I want D-Son, Tyree, Kurt, Cavell, everybody's chiming in now. Please answer. Did any one of us ever watch a Notre Dame game, NBC 2017 Channel 5, and think Deshaun Kaiser was going to light up the world?
No. No.
Because if you did, I'm turning my mic off and I'm gone. I'm gone. Because that's just not true. And we, again, I call us the casual fan because we don't watch as much tape as a Todd McShay possibly. But that doesn't mean our assessments are not accurate or better because of this or that. Mitch Trubisky got a cannon? Mr. Can't get the ball down the field got a cannon? Really?
What kind of cannon?
The man can barely throw 50 yards.
Okay, so those were your thoughts for real?
Hold on. Listen, that was
those were your thoughts.
No, those weren't my thoughts. Those were the thoughts of the Fox expert analyst. And you go to Walter.
Experts.
You go to Walter. You go to. Hold on. You can do this if you want, but I'm going to be humble and modest enough to say I'm going to defer to the guys that feed their kids off their expert analysis.
I can't do it anymore.
I got
Bill
you.
Polian said Lamar Jackson needs to be a wide receiver.
Hold on.
Hold on. Let that sink in.
I get it.
Let that sink in.
Who said that?
Bill Polian, the greatest GM and character person ever, Mr. Peyton Manning, said that Lamar Jackson needs to be a wide receiver. And here this man is second in QBR only to Patrick Mahomes. I can't go with their assessments no more because their assessments are pigmented oriented. They're pigment oriented. Call it what you want. Call it what it is.
And I'm not. I think there's a lot of variables to go in. Hold on. I think there's a lot of variables.
You just read it. You said Mitch Trubisky has a cannon of an arm and is super accurate.
Yeah.
We know that Mahomes is the one with the cannon. Deshaun has a cannon and is the one that's super accurate. So these mythical accolades are what?
Hold on. I wouldn't say they're myth. I get it. Don't get me wrong. Because here's the thing. I don't have a dog in the race because I like the fact that the Bears were aggressive. They swung for the fences and they struck out. There's no question about that. WalterFootball.com ranks Mitch Trubisky number 1 again. He's certainly going to go in the top half of the first round. Nobody figured number 2. He's a consensus top quarterback, even though he has flaws, such as lack of experience and downfield accuracy. Still, teams across the league feel Trubisky is the most polished of any of the 2017 quarterbacks. Now, that's not somebody saying that has the benefit of hindsight. Now, listen, nobody knew what they were getting in Pat Mahomes. So I think the upside, they drafted Patrick Mahomes.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Hold on. Then why didn't he start over Alex Smith day 1?
Well, usually rookies don't even start. Justin Herbert is an exception.
But
this isn't the 80s. Rookies start.
Rookies do start. Absolutely.
Yeah, rookies. This isn't the 80s.
You may have been.
Aside from Mahomes and Deshaun,
but wait.
Mahomes wasn't thrown in there. Deshaun was thrown in there. But aside from that, who was thrown in there?
Look, listen, Herb. You just asked and answered your own question, but you said it backwards. You said, if Patrick Mahomes was that cold, why didn't he start day one? Right?
That's what you said. I was asking facetiously. What I'm saying is, I thought they saw a gang of upside, and they said, you know what? We're going to draft this guy in the first round because we have a stopgap quarterback. We like what we have in Alex Smith, but we're not sold on him.
Right. So, no. Let's not say sold, because Alex Smith actually had the best numbers of his career that last year he was in Kansas City. So let's not make it seem like Alex Smith, number one pick, was a bum. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that.
Oh, I didn't say he was a bum.
But what we are doing,
but you don't draft the guy. If you're happy with the guy you got, you don't draft the guy in the first round at the same position.
I'm going to stop you there, because the Green Bay Packers had Brett Favre and they drafted Aaron Rodgers. The Green Bay Packers have Aaron Rodgers. They drafted Jordan Love. I'm going to just leave you with that, but I'm going to come back. The question that should have been asked was, if Patrick Mahomes had all these problems listed coming into the 2017 draft, why did he get to start the very next year? Like, oh, wait, we don't need Alex Smith no more. This dude tearing it up. So maybe that's the question that should have been asked. And in hindsight, the hindsight should actually be, man, I'm glad we listened to our people and drafted this guy, because had we listened to the so-called experts on draft day, we would have missed out. That's the question that needs to really be answered. I can take it to basketball. I watched college basketball religiously. Tell me that you felt Anthony Bennett was the number one pick a few years back. If you even watched UNLV, tell me that. Tell me.
I did not watch UNLV.
I didn't watch UNLV either.
That's even better, because you know what? There wasn't no reason to watch UNLV. But I
feel you, brother.
I say this to say so many times. Darko Milicic, Detroit is still kicking himself. Man, we're not going to draft Melo. We're going to draft Darko Milicic. Why? Because the scouts, the draft experts say this is the proper pick. Man, please. Them people get paid to be wrong, like the weatherman. The weatherman and sports draft analyst are the only two jobs in the world where I know you can be wrong 100% of the time and still get paid and keep your job. We gonna keep it a 100 on the clubhouse. We definitely got.
JR put stock in those dudes, though. He just said,
Hold on.
No, because you said.
Hold on. You right about that. You right about that. I do, because I guess I just want to be kind of consistent. If I want anybody to have any type of respect for the level of experience I have, I can't be totally dismissive of somebody else's experience.
You cannot, but that doesn't mean that they're above reproach.
They're not above reproach. But here's the thing. In
this case, they are, because guess what? When you hedge your bet like that, you're never wrong.
Wait a minute. Oh, no. The experts here's what happens.
Experts.
I listen, man. I can saying that you know how dismissive that is when you air quote like they're not really the expert?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Give me some type of field of some type of profession where you can have a legitimate expert. Can you be an expert politician? Can you be an expert singer? Can you be an expert lawyer? Can you be? But that doesn't mean you're going to be flawless, and that doesn't mean the nature of the game. Can you be an expert quarterback? Can you be an expert 3-point shooter? The best 3-point shooter.
You could be a good quarterback, or you could be a good 3-point shooter.
Now you hedging your bet because you're talking about things that are statistically impossible to be perfect at.
Exactly. So I don't know why. I don't know why. If the experts are ever wrong, then we just throw out all of that.
So let me say this. I'm not saying that they can't be wrong, but there's wrong and then there's egregiously wrong.
Okay, I'm not. Listen, let me put a disclaimer on this,
please.
Prior to a few weeks before the draft, I had never heard of Mitch Trubisky, and I can't wait till we get somebody else. So I once never knew that guy, so we'll go back to that.
Okay.
The truth is this, but I just think that when the other shoe drops, like it's a whole lot of, Monday morning quarterback and saying, man, I could have done that. No, you couldn't have. How many times you see somebody in the stands like, I could have made that pass? No, you couldn't have. You wouldn't have made it through training camp to get an opportunity to throw that pass. I could have made that decision. No, the outcome would have been the same, but you couldn't have done that. You couldn't even take a snap.
90% of that is correct. Yes.
And we've all played where you have someone watching that doesn't really appreciate the level of athleticism or whatever it takes. I could have made that decision. I know, listen.
Well, Irv, that's not fair because some of us have been there or close to there. So we might be able to have a little different perspective on it.
Hold on for a moment. And I agree with that. And I definitely agree with that. So I think this. Lovie Smith's first game with Illinois, they played Murray State or somebody, and they dog walked him.
World beater. Yep, I know where you're going with this. Yep.
Yeah, I could have coached them to beat that because they were just that much better than them. And that's not saying I'm a better coach than Lovie or I'm a better coach than Murray State's coach. Lovie Smith could have called in sick, and they would have just shown up.
Won. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And yes. So I'm not saying that. I mean, I do recognize that it's a science to it, and it's a very inexact science. I'm gonna get a weatherman a little bit more love than you give him, John, because I plan my trips based on Fuck
the weatherman.
Hey,
man, we've lost a lot of games because of the weatherman. Any weather prediction or forecast beyond 3 days is a little iffy. It might be a little 50-50.
Yes, you're definitely rolling the dice. You want like a forecast week from today.
Yeah, hold on for a minute. Let me read this description.
Please.
He has a decent arm, excellent athleticism, can show some superb accuracy. However, he is undersized and doesn't play in a pro-style offense. His numbers are vastly inflated by his college-style offense. Operating under center will be one thing for him to learn. He also has to improve his field vision. His pocket passing process has got to get quicker as well. He won't be able to run as much in NFL and needs to get faster working through his progressions. He only has a decent arm. Who is that?
Kyler Murray.
Sounds good.
And it's inaccurate. It's inaccurate.
Actually, I don't think that's him. I think that's Deshaun.
It is Deshaun. It's what the scouts were saying. And here's what happens. Some of these lazy guys, if you ask half the people that are casual fans, man, what team he play for? He played for Clemson. Where is Clemson located? I don't know all that. You don't know all that. Okay, tell me this. Who's the quarterback of Clemson now? I don't know. Exactly. So don't do that. Don't act like we knew what was going on. I knew who Deshaun Kaiser was because he's Notre Dame, and for whatever reason, Notre Dame is like college football's Dallas Cowboys.
Yep. Basically.
They're never in danger of winning anything, but they're always on the tips of everybody's tongue. I like that. Because they are very that's branding and marketing.
That is them. That is them.
What's Big Swole guy? He went to the Browns too from Notre Dame.
Big Swole guy,
quarterback. Brady Quinn.
Yeah, Brady Quinn.
Yeah.
Yes, he looked good in the uniform. You know what? And they create these guys, so there is a whole lot of puffery and smoke and mirrors. And I agree with you, John. Certain quarterbacks don't get that. They'll look at him and say, "We want this guy to win. Nobody knew Russell Wilson was going to do what Russell Wilson was doing. He earned it.
But see,
matter of fact, Patrick Mahomes earned it.
So
Deshaun Watson earned it.
Are you not kind of proving my point though? Go back.
I definitely.
Wilson. Before anybody even knew Russell Wilson, like, how did you not know? Because for one, if you really don't know, he was at NC State first. He was playing baseball. He was playing baseball and quarterback at NC State. Like, a lot of people don't know Russell Wilson was a baseball player as well. So the casual fan is like, oh man. And then he's another one drafted by Seattle, but his name is on the tip of my tongue. But they had just gave a quarterback that stepped in for Aaron Rodgers and went 5-0 or 5-1. Seattle jumped and gave him Matt Flynn. So Matt Flynn was supposed to be the next guy. We'll just draft Russell. I think he was a 3rd round pick, and he'll be our backup. Mm-hmm. Man, Russell Wilson was eating Matt Flynn's ass up in camp to the point where they had to put him in.
But you know what? Because here's what happens. They say, hey, man, this guy's really outplaying them. You know what? Matt Flynn isn't a big enough name. He doesn't have a big enough resume. We won't take too big of a hit if we change gears. And I think that's why the Bears did what they did with Mitch Trubisky. When they gave Mike Glennon all that money,
I was stupid.
Hold on. I was happy with that because I said, not because I didn't even know who this long neck guy was. Like, this guy is
he's been a career backup in Tampa Bay since they drafted him.
So I'm thinking, like, I love the fact that they're being aggressive. I was like, cool.
Let me ask you this. That was John Fox. Let me ask you this. Mike Glennon then, is that not Nick Foles right now?
That is Nick.
You know what?
Foles right now.
I think that's a disservice to Nick Foles. Nick Foles has a bigger sample size, but I do get what you're saying.
And I did say, how are we talking so glowingly about this man a couple years ago for winning the Super Bowl and having the Super Bowl MVP to now he's not equipped to shovel shit in a circus?
You know what? what have you done for me lately? Exactly, brother.
And
exactly.
That's my point. So
you know what? I agree with your point, John. I really do. I think that, but here's the thing. The only thing that I'm saying is, you know what? I'm not gonna crucify the Bears for being hopeful, being wishful, and being aggressive. They made a mistake, but they made an aggressive mistake. And you know what?
It's still a mistake.
Sometimes you want to be the smartest guy in the room and you want to be able to do this, and it blew up in their face. But the truth of the matter was this. Prior to Mitch Trubisky, the Bears weren't in danger of winning anything. So when Mitch Trubisky comes in and they all of a sudden they're 12-4, they really they kind of like overachieved. And now when things are kind of leveling out, like, wow, the Bears are Super Bowl contenders and they're this and they're that. That was a year or two ago when that we're saying. But now we're still, 2. So now it's kind of like, So don't get me wrong. I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine with moving on. I'm totally fine with, you know what? This guy's a number 1. He's a former number 1 draft pick. I'd be okay with Jameis Winston. I'd be okay with Jameis Winston.
I'd be okay with that too.
Press pause on that because we're going to come back and visit that. I have to backtrack 2 seconds because I want to ask everybody a question.
Okay.
Our panel and our fans. Let's go back to those 2 years. Now we all know saying the name Cody Parkey is like saying Steve Barton, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They're synonymous right now, right?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Aside from that double doink with that 16 to 14 or whatever the score was, Mitch Trubisky led a team that was 12-4. Regardless of his individual numbers, he was a Pro Bowl alternate. He made that team what it was as far as the record because he's going to get credit for those wins, correct?
No doubt.
Take Mitch Trubisky off, put Deshaun Watson in. Bears in the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Yeah. I would think about it. You know what? I would think so because I would like to say this. I would like to because I've been saying this for the longest. There's so many variables on a football team. Like, who knows what this guy would have been if he had been drafted by another team or didn't have the tutelage of this coach or didn't have the security blanket of this receiver. But if you say subtract this guy and put that guy in, it makes it that's the only variable. If Mitch Trubisky got him to 12-4, I definitely think Deshaun. Hell, they might be 13-3 Super Bowl. So
but I tell you what, based upon what we know analytically, because that's all we can go off of, unfortunately. The numbers that Deshaun produced that season against the numbers that Mitch produced, win shares goes up by 2. So that makes them 14-2, right?
Yes.
Then, because of the production on the field in the game, we don't have to worry about a 16-14 statistically double doink causing us to lose.
I agree.
Because it would never come down to that.
Right, we never be in that situation. We had to show
you know what? You know what though? But here's what happens. You know, Super Bowls have been won by kickers. Adam Vinatieri comes in.
He got 4 of Tom Brady's 7 rings.
Hold on. 4. Exactly. Maybe if they have Deshaun Watson instead of Tom Brady, they don't need the kicker. Maybe they're blowing them out. But the quarterback does what he's supposed to do to get you down in a manageable. Now, we're not asking this guy to knock down a 60-yarder. This is a very manageable kick. And Cody Parkey does what kickers do sometimes. So what he does more times than not.
He did that shit all season. What do you mean? He did that shit all season.
If I'm not mistaken, was it not 4 games in a row?
Yeah, he was pretty. He was
leading up to the playoffs.
Yeah,
pretty awful.
Detroit, New York, help me out.
Shit, the Rams, because remember he missed one in the Rams, even though they beat.
Yes,
they blew the Rams out. He missed one against the Rams. We like, dude, what?
The Chargers.
So my point being on some, and I remember that game not vividly, but I remember key points. A couple times, Mitch threw some bad balls. Philly picked them off once. Mitch did a little scramble and fell down on the 3rd down and 2 when actually they should have handed the ball off, but they didn't. And that was Jordan Howard at that time, by the way, who was a monster. He could fall.
Who we never should have cut.
You know what I'm saying? Deshaun might have ran for that. Deshaun might have ran for that 2 yards and killed the clock, and now the game is over. So let's keep that word perspective in our vocabulary when we're looking at these things. Mitch is an NFL quarterback, right?
Yes.
You can't do anything about him making the NFL. But what you can do is you can critique his performance in saying what the expectation was as opposed to the production. The expectation and the production are not on par. They're just not.
They're not. He's not lived up to the expectations of a number 2 quarterback, number 2 drafted quarterback. He doesn't live up to those.
Absolutely not. Now let's go.
Ryan Leaf.
Right. What that was? He was. Remember, I'll take you back. A lot of people draft experts. I'm not going to do the quotes, Irv. I'm holding my finger. I'm holding my finger.
I do.
But do you all remember Ryan Leaf was actually rated higher than Peyton Manning?
Yes.
Coming out of Washington State, and people like, man, I ain't watched the Pac-12. First of all, dummy, it was the Pac-10 back then. Wasn't no Pac-12. So you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So you get cats like that having this conversation. Secondly, I remember vividly saying that Tennessee, when they kept losing, that they were saying that he lost that game to Kentucky. I think was it Jared Lorenzen possibly or something they lost to, or maybe Tim Couch. I can't remember right now. But they were saying how Peyton Manning is a fundamentally strategic great quarterback who probably won't have great success in the NFL. What? Like, do you all remember those quotes?
I remember Rick Meyer.
The Golden Boy, Notre Dame, Sports Illustrated cover, drafted by Seattle, fell in the Bears' lap. Then we ain't see him no more.
So you are like contradicting your point, J.I. You're saying
hold on for a moment. No, let me tell you this. What I'm saying is
exactly.
I've always agreed. I've always agreed with that. With John. JB made a very good point. All I'm saying is this: I'm not going to crucify the Bears for making a mistake. If anybody's saying, "Well, you should have known better," I can point to 30 other teams that should have known better. That's the nature of the game.
I'm not going to crucify them, but I ain't going to let them off the hook either.
You know what?
I got to hold them accountable, Jay.
You know what? And let me tell you this. Kurt made a very good point in the chat. He says some people make the same mistakes over and over and look for a different outcome. Yes.
Insanity. We spoke about that.
Yes. So here's the thing. Until we catch lightning in a bottle, but let me tell you this. you know they're saying this. Okay, the Bears have had, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers won 1 Super Bowl more than the Bears. He's been to as many Super Bowls as Rex Grossman. So it's a very fragile, it's a very flimsy game. Now, there's no question he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He was brought onto a team because I think at that time Aaron Rodgers was the best available player there. So they said, wow, this guy's a steal.
Like the 22nd, 23rd pick in the first
round?
Yeah.
They you know, so it's kind of like, okay, no, we weren't looking for a quarterback, but if you're going to give us this type of talent.
Well, I also read rumors that the reason that they even did that was because Brett Favre was starting to break down. Remember, he kept having them injuries, then the whole Viking thing.
And then he was very inconsistent. Every year is he coming back? Is he not coming back? Yeah, right. So it was like, I mean, it was whole press conferences held at the gate of his ranch or whatever he's staying in
Mississippi. Yes, I remember. Yes. The news came down to his front door and asked him, "Hey, we want to know what you're gonna do." He's like, "Man, I'm going fishing."
Hey, you know, let me tell you this. I love this about Kurt. He said Ryan Leaf was the deal in college.
He was Washington State. Like, I remember this, though. Like, come on. Like, he was, you know what Ryan Leaf is? Ryan Leaf back then was literally the prototypical quarterback. Strong arm, 6'5", accurate, vision all out this world. But he ain't have it up here once he got to the big stage.
So drafting him in hindsight, knowing what you know prior to the draft, would you have drafted him?
Well, let me say this. As the Chargers, you had to, because you didn't have nobody else. You was coming off of Stan Humphries. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So you had to draft a quarterback. It was just a matter of which one. So by those being the top two, then absolutely. Like I'll tell you another scenario. Let's go back a little bit to when we were younger. Although we were watching football, we didn't understand it. There's no way that Dan Marino should have fell as low as he was. Like, was anybody really taking Todd Blackledge over Dan Marino in real life? Yes, that really happened. But when you listen to people be like, "Who the hell is Todd Blackledge?"
Yeah, I'll say that.
You say that now. You know what I'm saying? But like we have those moments where we're separated by the logical choice, or like you said, I want to make a safe but aggressive splash.
Hey, Kirk says he's a cokehead. I said, would you have taken him? Kirk said, yes, I would have.
Absolutely.
And you know what? In real time, that is a wise decision. If you say, no, I wouldn't have taken it, I would have known, then you're using the benefit of hindsight. So here's the truth. I don't know. You know what?
You take Ryan Leaf.
Yeah. You know what?
But when you have Deshaun, you don't take Mitch. That's just the truth.
Okay. Listen, I think he started 1 year. Mitch Trubisky, I think, played in over 30 games though. So it's like, hey, I didn't start.
He only started the 13-game season of his, I think it was his last year. But he had appeared in games since his sophomore and junior year. It wasn't like he just popped on the scene, played these 13 games and set the world on fire. That's a lot.
He wasn't starting though, right? He was
not starting, but the sample size as a starter was small. The sample size as a player, we have 30 games to look at.
Yeah, and comparing apples to apples, if you look at how many games, you know, the draft picks have actually played in, a lot of them played in like 8 or 9 more games, started 8 or 9 more games.
Right. It wasn't
started 8 or 9 more games. So, but don't get me wrong, that gives you a very, very good an idea of growth, tendencies, what they're going to do. And I think the truth of the matter is, because he didn't start in so many games, you do know this, like, man, why is it they can't play this hurry up offense the entire game? It seems like they're moving now because they're in prevent defense. They're allowing everything underneath.
They're allowing everything underneath. Yes. That's easy. Come on now.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't get that. Like, man, we should do. We're gonna run no holder the whole time. No, they're giving you this. So when you have, well, he's 9 out of 9 for the last 9 passes. Yeah.
With 5 checkdowns. Come on,
yes,
man.
and they're allowing that. So a lot of these stats are a little bit misleading. So you can give up these
people
stats
that don't know football, Irv. See, that's where I like to draw my line.
Yeah.
I like talking with y'all. Y'all know ball, right? We have guests on that know ball or have been to where we're speaking of.
Most definitely.
The casual fan, I'm not even going to talk to them right now. But I am going to talk to the scouts and the experts, because how is it that there are some things that those of us that are very affluent watching, very astute, or have played can see certain things that these scouts
that they don't.
Like I'm going to say this again. You said apples to apples comparison, which is like, man, when you really break it down, it's like, man, damn, he did play as many games as Deshaun or Pat or whatever. But the media is only going to spew the 13 games that he played as a starter that set the world on fire. That's where I say the BS comes in, because I'm going to say you can do apples to apples and be fine, but you can do apples to oranges and it's still fruit. And the fruit is,
indeed,
Watson was better, has always been better, fell in your lap. The Bears have not had a franchise quarterback since Sid Luckman. The Bears have not had a 4,000-yard passer since, ever. The closest was Eric Kramer, which was like 33,856 or something like that. Eric Kramer, G. Eric Kramer was our best statistical yardage quarterback. Come on. What are we talking about? The Bears had a chance to set history in the right way for the next 10 to 15 years. And they blew it because of pigment. Don't give me that.
I don't know about all that now. Like, listen.
I'm saying it.
I want to scratch where I itch.
You don't know about all that, Jay?
I don't know about. Man. Hold on. Let me tell you.
It's a podcast. This ain't regular TV. We can say whatever the hell we want.
I'm saying it.
You know what? Hold on. And listen. And I'm being respectful, because I really think that it's a little bit crying wolf. Let me tell you this. The Bears are a traditionally defensive run-first team. That might be why they don't have that many yards throwing. The league back then was more run-oriented. That's why you will never have a running back that's going to break these records unless the trends change. Because now you're going 4 and 5 wide? Really? That was never done. Some teams don't even go under center at all now. And the shotgun was a novelty. But now,
take it back. Houston Oilers.
And wait a minute.
Jeffries, Curtis Duncan, Ernest Givens, and Drew Hill.
And Detroit.
Take it back to Jerry Glanfield's red gun.
Yes.
We saw the writing on the wall, what was coming. The traditionalists kept this or that because of you needed to ground and pound, of which it's kind of turning back around that way, because we see the ground and pound.
Just we say, who inspires you?
Hold on, but none of those teams. Huh?
Oh, I heard some like computerized woman.
Yeah, that was I don't know. That's my Alexa. I must have said something to get her going. I got to change her voice.
You know how to get Alexa going.
Yeah, I'm mad at the Bears too.
I know, but here's what happened. Detroit did the same thing. They had the silver streak with Andre Ware, but listen, all of that is great, and I think that they were ahead of their time. Just like when the West Coast offense was the little check down and everybody was doing that quick stuff.
Irv. Who followed Andre Ware? Come on now.
Rodney Peete.
They went from Andre Ware to Rodney Peete to Scott Mitchell, right?
Hold on for a minute.
Yeah.
They were throwing the ball.
Wait a minute. Andre Ware. Did he win the Heisman?
Yes.
Rodney Peete. Rodney Peete. Did he win the Heisman?
Yes, he did.
I think he did. USC.
Yes, these are black quarterbacks in a time where. So don't get me wrong. I think that if there's a racial issue, we should call it in and every. Hold on. Listen. This is the good thing about the internet.
We talk about the Bears having a racial issue, though.
Hold on. Listen, and that's what I'm saying. You're sitting in front of a computer, T-Nick. Why don't you use it? There's only 3 teams in the league that have had more black quarterbacks than the Bears. Google it and find out.
No, and I said that when we had.
I agree with you.
So it's not an issue about that. If Deshaun Watson was the number one,
you have to listen. You have to listen. You have to listen. The Bears will have a black quarterback, but they won't have the face of the franchise black quarterback. They've had multiple chances to get the face of the franchise black quarterback.
That's even making my point even more so. If I'm so adverse to having a black guy on my team, why would I get one that doesn't guarantee wins? Wins justify everything. I'm definitely not gonna pick no black scrub.
He might be cheap, and then
the Bears have.
You know what? He's cheap, and they can never. No. Hold on. He's cheap. He's cheap. Jason Campbell, cheap. No, Jeff Blake at the time, cheap. Henry Burrs.
Yep.
But what they can say is, well, our fan base can say we've never given black quarterbacks a chance. Come on with that bullshit, man. That's that cookie cutter media propaganda bull. Because right now, you cannot tell me. You said right now, Jameis Winston would be great here with Nagy. He want to throw the ball 50 times. I ain't heard them go publicly talking to Jameis Winston. I'd be like this. You know what? Deshaun costs too much. Russell costs too much. Hey, J-Mo, what you want?
I don't even know if that's an option based on like
he's a free agent. What do you mean it's not an option?
I mean, because they're still kind of stringing them along in New Orleans with the whole.
Man, forget New Orleans right now. Come to the Chi, make a statement.
Wait a minute.
Be the man.
If I'm Jameis and they're selling me a hill of beans saying, hey man, you know what? You're gonna be the man here next year. You know, and I say New Orleans, Chicago. I might stay in New Orleans.
And if I'm Jameis, I'm gonna say this. Sounds good, but how many times is Taysom Hill gonna take players away from me?
Right, Taysom Hill's he's definitely gonna get played before Jameis.
He right in your face, and they re-signed him to a long-term deal.
He took plays from Drew Brees, so I don't think he would feel that slighted by it.
I would feel slighted because I'm like this. I don't need this motherfucker on the field. I don't. If you're gonna let me spin, let me spin.
But you know what?
He has a chance to spin here in Chicago, but it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen.
But you know what? So wait a minute. Let me tell you something. And this is me being me. If I truly thought the Bears were racist and they weren't down for me, that's pretty much the ABCs of me. Kurt knows this. 9 times out of 10, the reason I don't like somebody is because I know they don't like me. Mm-hmm. If I thought the Bears didn't like me as a person, as black people, I wouldn't support them.
I didn't say they didn't like black people. I never said
that. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, because if you admitted that, it would show some type of like, well, why are you watching them still? If I think that they have some aversion to winning solely because they don't want a black person to be the face of the franchise, they got 2 statues outside the
quarterback. The quarterback is the brain of the team.
Then why don't they have a statue of the quarterback in front of Soldier Field? Because the quarterback ain't been hitting on.
Because we never had a good one,
except for London. But we've had some white ones.
But you also said, Scouts Inc. said black people don't have good decision making as quarterbacks.
Oh no, I'm calling a spade a spade. At least I'm trying to. I definitely understand that there has been some stereotypes when it comes down to it. But let me tell you this. You know, and I don't think everything can be practically compared. But I will say this: some of the same things that make you laugh make you cry. When you see a white DB, when I see a white cornerback, I'm not fearful of that.
I rooted for Jason Sehorn. I rooted for Adam Archuleta because they was dogs.
Who?
Jason Sehorn.
Who is that?
You don't know who Jason Sehorn is?
You can't, right?
If you're telling me that the last white cornerback you have to reference is almost 15 years ago, that proves my point.
But I'm saying,
of course, I know who Jason Sehorn is.
But I'm saying he was a dog. Adam Archuleta was one of the hardest hitting safeties. He's a dog.
Okay, but you know what? When they tell Christian McCaffrey, when he's in the line with the running backs, they say, hey, man, ain't you in the wrong line? He laughs it off. He laughs it off because you know what? Stereotypically, you know, you damn near a unicorn. There ain't no more white running backs.
I see what you did there.
It ain't no more white running backs. If I see, come on, man. If now listen,
he's the new age galloping ghost.
You can be a linebacker. You can be an offensive lineman. You can be a defensive end.
You can be a tight end. You can be a quarterback.
You can be a strong safety.
Nick Sorensen.
Other than that,
Craig Stelz.
so other than that, and we know this, So with that being said, so if we don't have any issue with some of these positions being dominated racially or ethnically, however you want to put it, the quarterback position is being taken over by more athletic quarterback. The game has changed. The game has changed, and I think for the better. So with that being said, I can understand that. Like 10 years ago, Lamar Jackson, he may have been a wide receiver.
10 years ago, Lamar Jackson becomes Hines Ward, Antoine Randall L.
Yes.
Flash.
Julian Edelman was a quarterback in college.
But true, yes, he was. But how do we know? And let me put a spin on it. How do we know that Lamar Jackson wasn't Randall Cunningham?
Because he can't throw like Randall Cunningham.
Randall Cunningham couldn't throw like Randall Cunningham at first, according to them.
Hold on. I don't think his mechanics were ever.
He was behind Ron Jaworski, man. Come on.
Hold on.
Come on.
Sounds about right.
No, hey, you can check my facts. I know this.
No. I know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Ron Jaworski at the time was no slouch. So you come in.
What I'm saying is in order to change mindsets, you have to change your mind first.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And, you know, listen, winning will change all of that.
Winning is the ultimate cure.
There's no question about it.
The one thing about the Bears is there is no cure until you get a proper quarterback. Whether it's Russ,
I'm okay.
John, Jameis, that's the three brothers.
Hold on.
Whether it's Alex Smith, Ryan Fitzpatrick, hell, Sam Darnold, get somebody in there. I don't want Nick Foles starting for me next year. I can't do it. I cannot do it. I don't want to trade for Marcus Mariota. Why do I need to see that show again?
That would be a lateral move at best.
It's a lateral move at best. Why do I need to see that again? Come on now.
I agree with you, brother. I agree with you. My thing is this: coming from a background where sometimes you make decisions. I'm a little hesitant when it comes to second guessing somebody's decision. Or let me put it this way: the decision may not have been sound, but I know the effort. Like, hey, you do know this is going to cost you your job. Yes, I do. So I can understand.
There we go. I can agree with you on that. I'm not going to question their effort. I'm not going to question their effort.
So I don't get me wrong. I don't think that, hey man, I would rather win this way. I really think that they thought they had a slam dunk. I really thought that's what they, and with this day and age, that's the good thing about it. The good and the same thing that makes you laugh makes you cry. You don't have to stick with anybody for too much longer.
You don't.
I think it would be a terrible mistake. I think there's been too much second guessing, too much loose talk, too much lack of faith in Mitchell Trubisky for him to stay and being a healthy. It's a hostile work environment at least. So I would love to see him go and flourish in a new beginning because I definitely think this. I definitely think he has years in the league, at very least as a backup.
Absolutely. But can I say, I think personally, like I said, I love the Kyle Shanahan effect that he has on Jimmy Garoppolo, which is him and Mitch to me are similar. But I can see him going and bagging up in Cincinnati and them having great success.
Okay.
Backing up Joe Burrow in Cincinnati?
Because of the way that he runs his offense. Like, that's perfect for Mitch. You air it out every now and again. You have tight end play. You have Joe Mixon coming out the backfield. You have a lot of intermediate routes, which was actually a strength of Mitch.
I would love to see. This is what I would absolutely love to see Mitch Trubisky in New England. I would love to see him in New England.
There's some talk right now.
Yeah,
not enough weapons. Not enough weapons.
There's talk of that right now. But yeah, who would he throw to? Who do we have to throw to in New England? But that shit. That's not a question I'm really concerned with. I don't care who they got New England.
Though. And I'm not trying to make light of anything, because if we scroll up, a gentleman has said what I've said in our group a long time ago, not our group, but another group I'm affiliated with. I do not want to see Kyle Trask in a Bears uniform. I do not. Florida's quarterback.
Okay.
Personally, I'd rather have Ryan Fitzpatrick next 2 years than to get Kyle Trask. Straight up. Give me Fitzmagic, because at least we're going to have some excitement.
Oh, God, no.
Other than Kyle Trask in the second round, you get Kyle Trask and you watch how we be on here next 2 years talking about some, I told you. He's a statue back there. He got a nice arm. He's got great delivery, great mechanics. He's a statue. He's a 6'5" statue.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is a wild man. He's a wild man.
But here we go again. That's what the Bears do. That if the Bears don't get one of these three guys we just spoke of, they're going to get an Alex Smith, or they're going to get a Ryan Fitzpatrick. They may try to trade for Sam Darnold, but if I'm the Jets, you don't have enough for me, because I got the number 2 pick. I don't need your 20.
And Sam Darnold is 23 years old. He's a young. He's ready to explode.
Joe Burrow is a rookie, and he's like 24. Sam Darnold's been in the league 3 years. He's 23. Like, Sam Darnold has a lot of upside as far as mechanically, but if you watch USC, Sam Darnold was not that dude. I mean, he was good, but he had the Jameis problem. I'm going to throw 30 touchdowns, but I'm going to throw 15, 20 picks.
Whatever happened to Josh Rosen?
Man, he bagging groceries in Arizona, man. What you talking about?
Wait a minute. No, he's not in Arizona. They got him up out of that hellhole.
Yeah, he went back.
No.
Because he bought a house down there. He lived there. He last seen in Miami.
Josh Rosen was
there you go, Miami. You know what?
He was a third stringer in Miami. He moved back to Arizona because that's where his house is.
If I'm a first round pick, I think it would be safe for me to buy a house where I'm drafted too, not knowing that Cliff Kingsbury loves this guy and he's gonna come in and be the new coach, and all type of deals were made.
Sold up the river.
All right. Well, I think we just about gonna wrap this one up, man.
I think it was a great conversation, man. We needed to get those ideas and we needed to get the fan support and their voice, because a lot of people don't have that voice. You call in AM 1000 ESPN, you talk to people like Waddle and Sylvia and stuff. They say the same cookie cutter bull, man.
Yeah.
Tired of hearing that.
Yeah.
I need to get a voice, the true pulse of the people, the true pulse of the shot. We here on the Clubhouse on the podcast, we talking real stuff. That's real what we continue on doing.
Real shit. Yep. All right. Well, another great conversation. Brother. We're gonna have another great one on 316. That's Tuesday, right?
That is.
And we are going to switch gears into basketball.
That is confirmed.
And it's confirmed. So we will be talking with Ricky Pierce. Money. Yep. We'll be talking with Ricky Pierce on Tuesday.
Pretty Ricky, what they call him.
Right. How old is Ricky Pierce now? About 60?
Yeah, it has to be, because I think he was drafted in 82.
Okay.
He was in the Mark Aguirre draft, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
Mark Aguirre.
Yeah, he was drafted to Dallas, that 82 draft, number 1 pick.
Yeah, I see Marco go all the time in the gym.
You do, and you haven't reached out to him yet.
Well, he's usually there with Jeff Sanders, so I was like,
Jeff Sanders play for the Bulls?
Yes.
Excuse me, Jeff.
I can call Mark because Mark loved my son. He loved Cam, but I don't want to use my son to get to Mark. You know what I'm saying? Tell him to come on.
Just holler at Mark. I mean, shit, holler at Jeff too.
Shoot, you can't get more of a Chicago legend than Mark Aguirre.
Wait a minute. Kurt say Ricky
This
Pierce
dude said Ricky Pierce is 81.
No. I think he was saying he was either Ricky or Mark was drafted in 81.
Drafted in 81. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I said 82. I'm not that far off.
Okay. So yeah, man, we're gonna have Ricky Pierce.
That's what's up, man. Hey, that's hey,
man.
I can't wait. He gave Jordan a couple fits, didn't he?
I'm watching Terry Cummins getting down. Ricky Pierce had about 40 against Mike one day, and I was like, "Yee."
Yeah, Ricky Pierce gave Jordan some fits, man.
Hey, pump fake, one hard dribble, mid range. Let's go down. Let's walk.
Right. Yeah. He was wicked.
I'm looking forward to big things in the clubhouse. Most definitely big things.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. And it starts with y'all, man. Like Bartles and James. Thank y'all for y'all support. We appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate all y'all. Curtis. Yeah, man. Definitely.
Kurt, let me give a couple of shout outs, y'all, please, because again, this was a love fest that we had going on here. I want to give some shout outs to Curtis Clay. I want to give some shout outs to D-Son. I want to give some shout outs to whoever Facebook user is. I don't know who that is. He really wanted
Will. It's Will.
Oh, that was Will?
Yeah, that was Will.
God dog it, Will. Shout out to Will. I want to give shout out to Cavell Ball Bay. Thank you. Tyree Holland, my man. Tyree had a lot of good points. He's the one that brought up the Kyle Trask. Got to give some love to my man Tyree. I also want to give some love to our super producer Tanya Johnson. You know what I'm saying?
Super producer.
She's doing it behind the scenes on the ones and twos.
Right.
And to everybody else that viewed the show, man, keep the love pouring in. We want to hear from you. Chi-Town stand up always.
Always. Bears fan, Bears. Hey, let's hold the Bears' feet to the fire. Let's get better.
Appreciate all y'all. So
definitely.
With that being said,
catch you on the other side.
With JB, we out.
We out here.
This is a podcast where we think we know what we're talking about, but we really don't know. Well, J.I. and JB, they think they know shit, but they don't know shit. They don't know shit.
Hey, I'm okay with that. Tomorrow, I'll be on a different side of the spectrum.
Hey, those experts don't know shit.
You did the quotes.
we know more shit than they do. Yeah, but we out. All right.
Peace.
Yep.